I don't want to set the world on fire.
Welcome back, everyone, to the next episode of the Foally of Man. I'm Chris, with me here today,
Robert.
And this episode, we're going to be looking at Chapter 17, The Villain of the Piece. Bringing you the truth, no matter how bad it hurts.
Bum, bum, bum.
I think it was Bob Ballard shortly after finding the wreck of the Titanic. Yeah, I feel like that's right. Okay, so
I think there's a little bit of housekeeping. We made an announcement last week about recording an episode on our Twitter, but we didn't post anything to YouTube. There's no real good way unless you just make a video on YouTube.
Yeah, there's
for getting
there's no
out.
content. I feel like I remember hearing that there was a one time and YouTube removed it because reasons.
So in the future, we can make little short announcement videos like we have in the past. But everything's okay. Nobody's hurt. There was just, again, summer is a kind of a bad time for everyone. Lots of traveling. And I'll apologize. If I sound a little congested, it's because I am congested. My wife and I spent some time at a big family reunion for her family last week, and that's the scheduling conflict that we had. But also, on the very first day, a very cute little 2-year-old sneezed right in my mouth. So that is why I'm now congested.
2-year-olds, not even once.
You can't Listerine that shit away. It's just...
No.
And I'm not going to take hand sanitizer and pour it down my throat.
No, it'd be awful.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, but anyways, there's a lot that happens in this chapter. Just from the audio alone, it was, an hour and 40 minutes, something like that. It's pretty comprehensive.
Tremendous,
a lot of things
tremendous
happen.
episode.
So I know that the crux generally is to make sure the things that I've retained from the chapter, but I did take some very detailed notes because so much happened I didn't want to leave anything out. And
yeah,
I know that
it's a hard one with this one, especially when you're trying to speed through it.
I know there's items.
Audiobook.
I know there's items too that people comment like, "Why did you leave this out?" And we really don't want to leave too much of that
it's
stuff
hard
out.
to do. It's hard to do with an audiobook anyway, because with an audiobook, you're dealing with the fact that your pacing is going to be all over the place. I mean, think about it this way. You could spend 5 minutes reading a sentence in a book. You can't spend 5 minutes listening to a sentence in an audiobook. It's just going to happen. And you may have to go back and hear it again, back and hear it again, back and hear it again, if you care to, or if you have the capability to. So it's not as conducive in certain regards. So when you're dealing with these really large chapters, we may have to have you take a break every once in a while to kind of let your mind veg on some of the information and then continue later.
Yeah,
because
I generally, if I have the time, try and listen a couple of times in a week, but it just depends. So other thing I want to point out right here at the beginning of the show is that you'll notice that the look of the camera is a little bit different. In the last couple of weeks, I'm sure you'd notice the quality got better, and of course the audio listeners are probably bored as they can be at all this information because you're not looking at our stupid faces. But we have since moved over to the camera we had been using had a file size limit, not of size, but of timing. So we were having to cut every 10 minutes to accommodate that. And if we're going to be doing 30-minute episodes, we didn't like that it was interrupting the flow. So currently we are recording on a GoPro Hero 3, which is why you can see a little bit of a fisheye bowl to the lens. But we don't have to worry about edit points at all, because it'll just keep recording and recording and recording. So please let us know if you have any feedback about the quality of the image or suggestions.
Yeah, it was also that we were constantly staring down a little timer to tell us when we couldn't, when the recording would stop.
But comments about the facilities, nothing that we can do about that at this time.
Maybe one day.
Yeah,
But not today.
If we can grow the podcast and do other channels, and who knows, it would be great to have a dedicated facility just to making more content. And that starts... I was going to say, that starts with all of you who actually listen. So from the beginning of the show, thanks. But let's hop into things. All right. First of all, Homage asks Little Pip that she wants her, even after we've done so much already, to collect some new music for Homage.
It was interesting because at this stage, if you're paying attention, you can already tell that Little Pip always has her eyes on every single female's rear end, but of course she's going to have her eyes on this female's rear end. And so when Homage goes, "Oh, I don't know, there's something I need you to help with, but you don't have to help me," she's like, Yes,
whatever you want.
Please. Tell me it's in your bedroom. and so, of course, she always agrees. And this is to get a series of recordings that were unreleased demos.
Yeah.
By none other than the once world-renowned Sweetie Belle. Now, not so much.
And locked away supposedly in the Red Racer Scooter Company CEO's office. So let's see here. Also, Little Pip, when she returns from meeting with Homage, because she meets with Homage privately, we discussed it at the end of the last chapter, she catches Velvet Remedy and Calamity talking about...
having a little discussion.
Yeah, was Steelhooves there as well?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't remember
them.
in
they
that
were
discussion.
just discussing her addiction.
And how to remedy it, specifically using chemical intervention to rid her of her addiction, like we see in the games, that you can pay a doctor to rid you of any of your addictions. However, Velvet Remedy notes that the mental dependence will be forever.
Yeah, but as the player, you're always going to have those little mentats in your pocket, and you're always going to be like, well, maybe I could use it.
Yeah.
And get addicted again.
And so, once again, Little Pip, even seeing how bad things have got with Pinkie Pie, Little Pip's like, but I'm not like that. But I need them. I'm can't.
Not addicted. I can stop anytime
I want. Yeah, the classic addiction thing. But also, Little Pip goes to the cell where Monterey Jack is and has a discussion with him and talk to Homage a little bit about Monterey Jack. Monterey Jack knew the rules. Monterey Jack, was aware it's very difficult to live in this city, being between
and they explain
raiders
at
and
the
slavers.
end of the chapter as well. The reason is because he's trying to fulfill this virtue of honesty, but
right, his virtue was
in
honesty.
reality, what he's really doing is just making himself look good. It's all about appearance.
Right. Yeah. It's
his own self-image.
Well, but
image.
I know, but you have to. What he says does ring true, whether you like Monterey Jack or not. That his virtue is honesty, and if he doesn't hold himself to that virtue, then everything else in his life is meaningless.
At which point, afterwards, when she asks Homage about why she does what she does and why she's not honest about it, she says, sometimes the best honesty is saying nothing at all.
Yeah. But Homage is not Monterey Jack.
No.
No, not at all. So we also hear references of Maripony, located in Pleasant Valley. This is in Pinkie Pie's memory.
No, this is a portrait that's on the wall in the Ministry of Arcane Science Hub's library, personal library.
That's right. Well, and that's where we also find out that certain books that were going to be removed from the Ponyville library get sent to Twilight Sparkle because they knew how upset Twilight Sparkle would be to see them destroyed.
This is one of the divergences of the show and the book, because the book was only created in the middle of season 2, where in the show what happens is her library, because Twilight Sparkle was kind of staying in an apartment above the library kind of thing. That's where she lived. Well, in the show, her library gets destroyed, and then they give her a castle.
Gotcha. Moving on.
Yeah. So it changes there.
Well, I think what's really interesting is I think the message that we come across that Pinkie Pie had recorded to send to Twilight Sparkle is really telling. You can see Pinkie Pie feeling great loss at the loss of friendship with Twilight Sparkle.
The confliction in the character, that she has to decide between her own life and her friends' happiness, as well as the national security, the security of the place that she loves.
Well, it's one of those things. So Pinkie Pie had scheduled a time to go get her chem addiction removed.
Yep.
And she's messaging Twilight Sparkle because she wants Twilight Sparkle to come with her as a show of strength, as she needs her to be there. But she also laments that she only did it because she knew her country needed her, and that the Mentats, they made her more.
Yeah, they didn't make her better.
She was Pinkie Pie, but she was more Pinkie Pie.
Yeah, it didn't make her better. It made her more.
Right. And she felt as though she had to do it to save her party. And we're seeing that parallel with Little Pip. Little Pip very much sees this as a sense of duty. I must do this to help others. I must do this to help Velvet Remedy and Calamity. And I need...
If I can't be better, then what good am I?
Which is why later in the chapter, Little Pip even knowing what she knows, takes another party time mentat to figure out a way to get into the facility. Whatever. I've heard it said different ways and spelled 3 different ways between the comments and the book and the audiobook.
I don't know.
Because,
I was going by what's in that.
Yeah. Anyways. So
what's in this?
I will call them mentats. That is what they are to me. Okay. So. I don't think
they're the really smart guys in Dune.
So, anyways, but to see Little Pip understand that, wow. So, I feel like I have to do this, and it does work. Little Pip is able to use it and figure out a solution. The problem is that the more dependent she is, when she doesn't have them, the more stupid she feels.
Yeah, it gets
the less capable.
Yeah. Now this is when they're actually at the Ministry of Morale hub.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're in there, they get attacked by multiple sentries of various kinds. Mechanical owls, sprite bots, all this jazz.
Yeah, the mechanical owls were interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember them appearing at any other point in the story.
No, this is the first time.
Well, there was the mechanical owl held by the trader outside of Manhattan. But that was the only other time we've seen it. I haven't seen them used as a defense force at all.
No.
Before this. I don't think I remember seeing it afterwards. There was an interesting line as well from this that you hadn't picked up on. It's very subtle because it's only one sentence. But it is that when they're explaining the time, Little Pip goes, well, the big hoof is between 8 and 1, and the little hoof is pointing straight down at 4. And your brain kind of goes, wait a second. 8, 1, halfway between. And this is actually because in the first season, I think part of the second season as well, they showed the clock tower in Ponyville, and it has 8 notches on it. And
an 8-hour cycle.
An 8-hour clock cycle. And K-Cat gleaned that from the information and just decided to incorporate that into the universe where there was an 8-hour cycle. Now, there is a change in another episode later on where they do add 12 hours to the clock. There are 12 marks in the show. It would have been really cool if there were still 24 hours, but it was like 3 cycles of a clock to where you have the beginning part of the day, ending part of the day, and then the midday. That'd just seem amazing to me.
Mm.
I love slight alt-world stuff. But that's an important thing because it shows kind of where the book was made from. It's this very important thing when it comes to how the animators designed the world space.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's an interesting note. Also, Velvet Remedy confides and complains to Little Pip about Calamity's behavior. Doesn't bathe, indolent, hard to deal with, stubborn.
Brash.
Yeah, brash and stubborn.
Doesn't listen to instructions from her.
And I'm Velvet Remedy. I could be with any stallion in the wasteland or any mare in the wasteland. And
Little Pip explodes.
Yeah, well, because Velvet Remedy's not dumb. She's a manipulator, and she obviously knows that Little Pip likes her. Mm-hmm. So it's a moment of, I'm going to make Calamity think I'm into Little Pip now just to piss him off, and Little Pip is not having it.
No, because that would be the bitchiest thing.
Yeah. So Little Pip explodes at her and basically tears her a new arsehole.
Yeah.
A new manure hole, as it were.
She really is a horse's ass.
Yeah. So that didn't go very well. But moving on, inside the Ministry of Morale, they actually discover Pinkie Pie's skeleton, and that's where they find the Twilight Sparkle figurine. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how many figurines that is thus far.
I believe three.
Well, right. So we have Rarity's figurine, we have Twilight Sparkle's figurine, and Apple. Was Applejack the other one? Okay.
We had Applejack as well.
So we've got 3 of them, and I can't remember what each one specifically does, but I imagine they're adding some boost to their party, right?
Yeah. I can't for the life of me remember. I know Pinkie Pie's is going to be Perception. Rarity's is Charisma, maybe.
That would make
Applejack
sense.
is Strength, and as it said in there, Twilight Sparkle's Intelligence.
Well, obviously. But anyway, so we already mentioned earlier that Little Pip uses the Party Time Mentats to give her a little boost to figure out how to get into the Red Racer facility, and discovers that the Red Racer scooter, there's a giant one on top of the building that has collapsed and created a bridgeway across, which they begin to cross, but it itself collapses under their weight. Little Pip levitates herself in through a window, and that's when she's attacked by a trained manticore.
What happens is, like, they're trying to fight off some blood wings. It's a very rapid succession of really actiony events. So they send Velvet Remedy across right at like dusk when the blood wings are waking up. They go after Velvet Remedy, but because she's on the other side, but because Steelhooves is currently crossing and Little Pip is trying to prevent Steelhooves' weight from.
I do think it's really funny that originally Little Pip was like, I could levitate Steelhooves, and he's like, you're not going to make me fly.
No.
Bad idea.
But just helping him across. But so they're trying to fight the blood wings and prevent it from collapsing. But when Little Pip is running across, one of the blood wings slams down into one side and causes the collapse anyway.
Right.
And so she's falling, and she just uses kind of a levitation force push to push her through a window. Unfortunately, one of the only windows that's intact, and it just cuts her up. She wakes up, and a manticore has her by her mane, and takes her down into a cell holding area in the
where
factory
she fights a bunch of manticores there.
And
she was postulating, trying to figure out if a manticore's poison sting could actually hurt a manticore.
And I believe she found out it does not.
It does not. It does nothing. Right. They are immune to their own poison, which stands to reason. But it's actually not the case with most snakes. There are snakes who will be foolish enough and accidentally bite themselves, and it kills them.
Yeah, you thought it was bad when you bit down on your tongue. Imagine dying from it.
Oh, man. Nasty, nasty stuff. But anyways, she kills the manticore, and then she's able to escape from her cell, and then goes to free all the other ponies that are in cells, and comes across the same blue pony that they had saved just days before. With the cult that was trying to attack her.
Yeah.
So small world, right? And it's like, seriously, you got caught again?
Klutz.
Yeah, no. So now Little Pip has saved her twice. Well, I guess technically Calamity saved her the first time with his shot.
Yeah,
but
they were
all involved. It's a team win. Everyone wins, except for the dead cult
this
with
time,
the bullet.
She doth gain solo XP.
But anyways, Little Pip is like, well, while I'm here... Oh, also, I should state that we come across, or we find out about an evil Dr. Ghoul who's been doing experimentation.
Yeah. And she goes and she tries to find him and kill him because she can't allow this to continue.
So she uses a stealth buck.
And she finds out that that what he's doing is attempting to, because the manticores are unchanged from their lineage. They have been completely unaffected. So he's like, well, they have to survive somehow, so we're going to find some way to undo the mutation generated by the radiation in this world, the magical radiation and the taint and stuff.
But he needs people to test it on, ponies to test it on.
Yeah, and they all die. Or they get terribly mutilated and mutated, and they just don't come out of it in any good capacity. Now, the important thing here is this is when another example of Little Pip being very stupid.
Yeah, just, finds a memory orb while hidden in stealth and makes the decision of, well, I'm sure I've got plenty of time left on this stealth buck. Why don't I just use the memory orb while I'm in the stealth buck? And she does.
And she wakes up from the stealth buck. And this is after a conversation where they go to the Cutie Mark Crusaders as adults, and they're discussing the nature and
you're talking about in the memory orb.
Yeah.
In the memory orb. Yeah, they're talking about the design of the stables and how in Manhattan they had already started moving ponies into the stables. And they're thinking like, well, we can't start experimenting on them because if the war ends and we win and it goes back, they'll know that we were experimenting on them.
And then at the same time, if we don't start, then the entire experiment is ruined because it needs to start from day one where everybody knows what the hell's going on.
Well, and we find out, Apple Bloom's designs are perfect. She's the one who made the terminals and the pip bucks.
Yep, she is the current, or at the time.
And the stables.
Yeah, she is at the time the chief executive overseer as well as operator and designer of Stable Tech.
Yeah. Back when that used to be a thing. Remember when CEOs weren't just lawyers?
Yeah.
And they actually made things?
What a time to be
What
alive.
a novel idea. Well, anyway, so Little Pip comes to from the memory orb and is chained down to a table with Dr. Ghoul standing over her.
Yeah, that's not something you want to wake up to every day. And so right as he's about to bring a needle down and inject her with stuff, his eyes go wide and he slumps over, and the blue pony from before partially repays Little Pip for her kindness and kills the doctor.
There you go.
And while Little Pip is freeing herself, continues to kill the doctor. Until he is very, very dead.
Very dead.
In fact, I'm pretty sure she was trying to destroy him on a cellular level.
You know, they say ghouls can't die, but that would be wrong.
That would be very wrong.
He did not die a good death.
So they go up and they go to she goes to the office.
Yep, finds the office of the Red Racer facility, and finds the demo records, and then is visited by Watcher.
Mm-hmm. And she
communicates with the
has a conversation with him about the nature of the virtues and what they actually mean, and how so many of these virtues can be corrupt. But why is it that what makes them good? What prevents the corruption?
Right. Well, and what they talk about it, what he says, the key to it all, the sparkle, is friendship.
Friendship is magic.
Friendship is magic.
What a novel idea.
It keeps coming back to this. Oh, before we move on, I want to mention in the memory orb. The memory orb, for the first time, is not from the perspective of a pony. It is from the perspective of a plant.
Yeah.
Of like a microphone that was planted inside of a sparkle cola in the room.
Which was planted there by the security officer that was there to remove the plants.
Right.
Bum, bum,
Bum.
bum.
Well, and what's so funny is that they even say, like, I'm so tired of us having to meet in vaults and secret locations because we feel like we're being spied on. And they're being spied on.
Yeah.
I love that one of them even says, when did you start drinking sparkle cola again?
Oh, no, that was my security officer.
It's so messed up.
Yeah. So, I mean, was there anything else that you picked apart from this episode? Something that stuck out to you?
Well, we're not done yet.
Right.
Yeah. So Little Pip has the demo records and takes them to Homage, who's elated at having some new music, and also finds out that Velvet Remedy is a direct descendant of Sweetie Belle.
I think they hinted at this earlier, if I'm not mistaken.
Homage didn't know.
She doesn't know.
Homage finds out because Velvet says, "I look forward to singing for DJ Pony." That's how they find out. Mm. And then so Little Pip, in another private meeting with Homage, has to say, like, yeah, she's a descendant of Sweetie Belle, and in fact, I think she's better than Sweetie Belle. She didn't just inherit the.
She evolved beyond.
Yes.
Oh God, Terminator except Velvet Remedy.
But so Velvet Remedy supposedly is going to sing, also, and of course, we don't know if they're going to find out how they're going to communicate with DJ Pony because they don't realize they're communicating with DJ Pony and that whole thing.
Yeah.
But Homage says, Little Pip, is there anything I can do for you? You've helped me out so much. And Little Pip says, I know you've got eyes all over the wasteland. Do you think that there's
some pony out there for me?
Some mare out there for me?
A special sun pony.
A special sun pony. That's not the pony pun of the week.
That's from the show. A very special sun pony.
But anyways, and Homage says, I might know one.
I cheesy dialogue.
Might know one.
I mean, it's adorable dialogue. It really is.
Well, and then it's like the flames of passions, and flamed up, and
it's one of those things where they're both embarrassed and they're like, oh.
And Little Pip realizes that Homage is a super sand lesbian too. The real super sand lesbian.
End the book.
Yeah. Cue cheesy music, and that's basically how the chapter ends.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the ending dialogue. It's really cheesy, but it's really cute. It's just cute.
So that was chapter 17.
Yeah. Was there anything else you gleaned from it? Anything else that you saw that you enjoyed?
Goodness. Let's see here. Last things. Velvet Remedy complaining that she said, I went out into the wasteland with the idea of healing ponies and helping ponies. I didn't think I'd be doing it to the same two ponies all the time.
Yeah. Interestingly, Then she must realize somewhere inside that, oh wait, this is the reason that this job hasn't been taken up by more people.
Right.
Now you'll also notice hilariously she takes the shotgun, right?
Yeah.
She's the medic pony.
Yes.
Shotgun surgeon.
Yeah.
But you also start seeing some duplicity in her character at a certain level where she's both, I'm the pacifist with an SPAS-12.
Yeah, if I'm going to shoot someone, I'm going to break them apart.
Yeah, it's like, and that's where you start seeing that nature in her, where she starts fighting with what needs to be done and what she wants to get done.
Yeah.
Her own kind of...
and we start seeing, again, less savory characteristics that had been hinted at all along, but, she is a master manipulator. We wonder why she's so charismatic and why she gets what she wants. She's a borderline sociopath is what she is.
Yeah.
But Velvet Remedy gets what Velvet Remedy wants, and she'll be damned if somebody's going to get in her way. That's just what...
All you got to do, though, is call her on it, because she's not so far out there that she's not willing to...
At least for now.
Shame.
At least for now.
Yeah.
I mean, an ego can always be overinflated.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see once she actually starts.
If she breaks away from her shame, then she's going to turn.
If she garners some celebrity from being on the radio, that's God only knows.
It's going to get worse. As well, there's a point in the story where Calamity goes and comments on a poster. It's on one of the walls.
Right. Yeah. So we have our first reference to the Enclave.
Yes, the Pegasi Enclave.
Yeah, so it's Pegasi Steel Rangers essentially.
Yeah. Just think of it as the Enclave from Fallout.
Exactly. And very similar outfits, but they look a little more advanced. Obviously, Pegasi having wings. There's an element of being able to fly, that sort of a thing.
And you have to have used completely different armor techniques because at the end of the day,
right.
How you armor a land troop is completely different.
That may very well be one of the reasons why Rainbow Dash abandoned the Ministry of Awesome, was a development of that suit, or is the assertion that it's technology that is developed post-war, like the Enclave? It is pre-war.
It is pre-war because the poster itself shows the the thing, and I can tell you right now it doesn't have to do with that.
Okay,
they said that in a previous chapter. What happened was
Sorry.
Well, what happened was it said in the previous chapter when they were talking about his him in the Enclave. What happened was Rainbow Dash was like, well, come on, we got to go help them. Like right after the bombs dropped, they're like, well, come on, we have to go pick this up. We have to go fix this. And everybody's like, hell no, we're safe.
Yeah.
We don't have to help anyone. We can just be fine up here. We can live out our existence in peace. And she was like, you fucking cowards.
Yeah.
And went off.
Well, in Calamity, he's like, like we'll ever see that,
Yeah.
About them.
Yeah, because all they are is cowards.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see moving forward. They reference Spike, which I feel like they'd mentioned Spike in the past, but he, plays more of a role. I hear his name was mentioned a couple of times in this chapter. Mm-hmm. But really, otherwise, we haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's basically everything I gleaned from the chapter.
Okay. I don't feel like there's too much more to put. The sky bridge connecting the two buildings, that's actually from Fallout 3 when you rescue Riley's Rangers in the DC Wasteland. To get into the hotel, the best way to do it is to go through a medical complex because they're stuck at the top of a hotel, mm-hmm. and you have to go through a medical complex, a hospital right beside it, and then cross over on a sky bridge, which leads up into
Gotcha.
That.
So basically directly gleaned from the game.
Yes. We're all happy.
All right.
Christopher, are you ready for the pony pun of the week?
Yes, sir.
All right, Christopher.
The pony pun of the week is Peg Assistance.
Can you come over here and give me some Peg Assistance?
Yeah, well, and it specifically, this comes from the show. This comes from the, you were telling me earlier.
It's from the mystery on the Friendship Express.
That's right. And you said it had to do Pinkie Pie bakes a cake of some kind.
Some god-awful monstrosity of a cake that has like these, it was supposed to be meringue, marshmallow, marzipan, I think.
Wow, that is a lot of sugar.
Yeah. Oh.
That is a lot of sugar. I don't think ponies' teeth are designed to consume that much sugar.
I do like sugar.
So what you're saying is Pinkie Pie has dentures.
Must.
Has
or she brushes every 5 minutes.
So yes, the pony pun of the week is Peg Assistance.
Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, a little Peg Assistance.
All right, let's get into some listener questions. This I know we've been talking for ages. All right, we have our first question from Naiba Kie or Kai or Naiba Kai or I'm sure there's other ways of pronouncing that, but I'm doing the best that I can. Naiba Kai says, "Think you'll try out the Ashes of Equestria game based on this story when the Overmare Studios finish it?"
That's going to be a question for you, because if you don't know my answer by now, then you haven't been seeing any other episode in this series.
Well, I would assume that your answer is yes. Yes, very much yes. Yes.
You got it.
Sure, I'll play something if it's actually complete. But, if we're talking about the, what was that really crappy airplane game that you could download on Steam that had, like, the zombies?
Flight Control?
Yeah, Flight Controller. If it's a game like that, no, I will not play that.
Oh, no, it's already much better, believe me.
Yeah.
Based on their tech and how they're demonstrating it, it's going to be better. It's going to be at least wholesome. They just have to iron out some of the...
Wholesome?
Yeah, wholesome.
Like clean? What do you mean by wholesome?
I mean filling.
Elaborate.
It's going to be a complete experience. It's going to be... Because how they have the tech demos so far, the demonstration so far, is you have most of the features from the game in various states. They have a slowdown mechanic on any of the menu systems. So I think pause menu still pauses, but using the Pip Buck will slow down time.
So this is designed as like a mod system for Fallout 3?
Yep, it is an independent title.
But it operates like Fallout.
Yes, very similar.
Okay.
They still have SATs, like that.
But it's not top-down isometric.
No. It is SATs, not VATs. But it slows down time, and you have the ability to target things. It's very similar to Fallout 4. They actually pushed that demo out before Fallout 4 and hinted at how the VAT system was going to work in that game. So good job on them.
Maybe we can link to them in the comment section.
But the overall, they have all the enemies. They have how the enemies work. They have all these different weapons and everything like that. It just needs some polish on the various mechanics, and obviously the world space to be fleshed out, because they don't have much to work with right now. A lot of their stuff is either placeholders or very simple models in a very small area of the map. So hopefully we'll get a much bigger project, bigger area, and because thankfully they're not working on the because they're not working within the limitations of the Creation Engine, Gamebryo Engine, whatever you want to call it, the original Morrowind engine. Because they're not stuck within that limitation, they can make a world space much larger.
Right.
It doesn't have to be fully fleshed out as much as any of the other games, but they are much larger, and so you can actually have to the scale of what it is in the books, which I think is what they're kind of hoping for. But again, that is something we'll just have to see. I can make no judgment calls. I know as much as anyone else who's been reading their dev blogs. I don't know anything else about what's going on.
But if we hear anything, we'd be more than happy to talk about it here.
Yeah,
at least albeit briefly.
And at one point we can have you maybe play the tech demo and see what you think of it.
Sure, why not? We've done Let's Plays before. All right, and Oscar Holt asked this week, speaking of corrupted, Little Pip has time to time talked about the corrupted version of the virtues. Who do you think so far fits in on the corrupted versions of the elements of harmony?
Well, they talk about 3 here. Where Silver Bell is the corrupted version of laughter, where she laughs away her problems, but to the point where she has tons of problems, but she refuses to confront any of them. You have Monterey Jack, which is the corrupted version of honesty.
Yep.
You have, I can't remember what the third one was. I can't remember.
You got me.
Darn.
I'm sure someone will fill us in the comment section.
Grab the book and find it. No. This episode was 15 minutes longer, brought to you by me searching through a book.
Oh man,
for that much.
no one loves something better than watching you thumb through a book for 15 minutes. Yeah, we'd edit it out, or at least speed it up or something.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as that, I'm trying to remember. But let me actually just come up with ones myself rather than relying on that. So so you have magic. What's the corrupted version of magic? I think that would have to go to the alicorns as a unison.
Yeah.
Because they use their magic purely for their own self-interest.
For bad.
Just
bad
kill.
Things. Yes.
Very bad things. You have loyalty. The most loyal to the wrong cause. Let me think. Probably the Enclave. They are loyal, but only to themselves.
Gotcha.
And their own interests. I know this is not an individual, but groups of individuals. But I mean, hey, it's how it works in my mind, at least. You have the cryptid versions of, been through that. I have to remember what all of them are. So we've been through honesty, loyalty, magic.
Battery's running low. We gotta round this thing up.
Oh goodness! Oh, my head.
All right.
I'm going between special and so I keep going. Oh, strength, perception, and endurance.
You can find us and any updates on the show at twitter.com @CriscoCast. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're listening, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Crisco Brand Biscuits. You can also find the audio version of this at thefoallyofman.libsyn.com or on the Google Play Store or iTunes. You can also find us on Facebook. We'll actually update the Facebook page at Crisco Industries. Interact with us there, follow the show, and that's another great place that we can hopefully do some updates there. So, that's all I have to say on Chapter 17. For Chris, I'm Robert, and this has been the Foally of Man. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next week. No more skipping.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Episodes keep on slipping into the future.
It's all over, but the crowd